Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is. For you right now, good day.
That covers it all.
Hopefully, I've covered everyone. If someone's like on the moon or something, then I'm afraid you're not welcome. I don't know, like I can't. How do you? What's the greeting for someone who's not in the time zone? I don't know how it works.
Happy Moon Day. I don't know.
All right, gonna let everybody in. People are still joining, and we will get started. You may have an idea. This is a slightly special Ticket Train Tuesdays because there's a bunch of us here. We've got the whole team together. It's a little bit of a party feeling because today is the last Ticket Training Tuesday of this season, which is happy and sad at the same time. If you have been to all 20, then you are amazing. And thank you very much for joining us. If you have not made all 20, but caught up on YouTube, the ones you've missed, then also that is awesome. Thank you very much. If you've dipped in and out on the topics that interest you, that is also good. And we appreciate you nonetheless. That is what this session is all about. All right, we've got a bunch of people, so let's get rolling. Well, let me actually flick back. So, as I said, welcome everybody. It is the last Ticket Train Tuesday of the season. But it's great to have you with us. We are all here to celebrate the fantastic season it's been. This is episode 20, and we're going to go through the whole team, and everyone's going to present their favorite feature of 2025 in Ticket. So we've got obviously 5 features to call out and kind of run through. It's going to be fast paced. We're not going to obviously be able to dive deep into anything, but as always, there's plenty more information out there on all the stuff we're going to cover today. You can reach out to us or find all the information in all the usual places. Well, there you go. There's the agenda. I've had to combine welcome and housekeeping into one to make space for everybody there. And I've not, no spoilers, I've not told you what those features are. You've got to wait person by person to see what's coming at the end. And stay to the end because, of course, this is a season finale. We will have a cliffhanger at the end. Housekeeping, as always, the session is recorded. We love participation. If you want to come off mute, if you want to share your camera, you're very welcome to, but it is recorded. It is going to go on YouTube later. If you'd rather engage through the chat, that's also fantastic. Whatever you want, we are here for all of it. This is us. This is everybody on the call. I hope that you know some of the people on this call, if not all of us, already from previous directions. If you want to get to know any of us more, then help@sargent.com is where you can get hold of us. All right, so we all picked our favorite feature of the year, as I said, and then we're going to go chronologically of when these features were released to Ticket. And that puts me first, because I really want to talk about life cycles, Ticket's business process engine. So I'm going to share my screen. And kick us off with Lifecycle. So Lifecycle as a feature wasn't new in 2025. It's been out for a very long time, not quite since the very, very first version of Ticket, but pretty early on. But what was released right at the start of the year was a bunch of improvements to the Lifecycle feature to give you a lot more control, a lot more flexibility, and make it really useful for you. So here, for example, I have a ticket all about getting Visio installed, and it was created with my app request template, and therefore my app request lifecycle has been applied. This is a three-phase, we call them, lifecycle in order to get this ticket delivered. So we wish all tickets were probably really simple and could just be resolved straight away, but the nature of tickets is that sometimes they need a couple of steps. We need somebody else to weigh in and do a step for us, or we need to wait on approval, or all kinds of things like that. So lifecycle allows to control the steps in the flow of a ticket. And two kind of major things were added in this feature I'm talking about. One was the ability to manually kind of control the flow of the lifecycle a little bit more. So if you are super agent or higher, then you can manually transition through to subsequent phases and jump over. You can even go backwards and manually transition back and repeat a phase. You can manually on the fly add tasks and approvals within that phase again if you're super agent or higher. And this is the really useful bit, is you can just manually change those approvers on the fly as well. So you can manipulate that as a super agent. So you don't need to have that templated. Some processes can be templated, but not all. Sometimes it's a bit more kind of flexible and fluid and dynamic. So you can have your super agents come in and set that approver based on the ticket, based on what was requested by the user. And then it goes to the right approver. And if you want to take things to the next level, which I hope you do, because we always are here for you if you're doing that, is part of this same feature as well with lifecycle improvements, is we released the capability to update and manage and control your life cycles from Power Automate. So we gave you a bunch more actions in Power Automate so that you can not just control and manipulate those life cycles manually on the fly, you can do it through Power Automate. Whether it's been triggered from a Power Automate task itself or some external process can trigger that. In this case, when I get to a certain phase in my lifecycle, I'm going to get the requester's manager and get the approval that's in the approval phase and set that manager on to that approval. And that will then basically be like a line manager approver for that particular process. That's all happening behind the scenes. So I don't need to manually do it case by case. I don't need to give away super agent access for that task. This flow's going to do it for me. So that was my favorite feature, the ability to either manually or through Power Automate have a bit more control over our life cycles. All right, if you know who's next, then speak up because I've forgotten.
That would be me. Awesome. Welcome, guys. So today I will be showing you drumroll resolution note. So basically, how did you fix that last time? Resolution note is an update from Tikit that lets us basically capture a clear summary of how the issue was fixed right when we resolve the ticket. So it's super helpful for both the requester and for the team. Let's go ahead and share my screen. Awesome. So I already have this ticket pulled up. Linda Belcher wants to know why her computer has a black screen. So let's say I already went over to her desk and all I did was I pressed the power button. So let's go over and switch it to resolve. Once I hit save, it'll ask me how I did that. And then if I would like, I can also draft a KB article. For this, obviously don't need to. But if there was something maybe a little bit more complex or something that maybe other people on the other team haven't seen before, then I could draft a KB article and we could switch it to just agents only. That way only the agents can see it. But yeah, once I hit save, it'll be saved right within here. And this is visible to both the requester and also to whoever is viewing the ticket. So you can see it was resolved by the agent. You could go over here and review that. You can also edit it after the fact, which is really great. But yeah, so there's a few best practices that I like to do, and it's basically to keep them short and sweet. People don't really want to read a whole paragraph. And make sure you write it for both your teammates and also the requester. So if you use any technical language, you might want to simplify it just in case, or don't. It's up to you. but always confirm that the issue was actually resolved as well before sending over this resolution. So yeah, that's resolution. It's pretty simple, but it makes ticket closures a lot more transparent for the requesters and for your team, and it also kind of gives you an audit trail for future reference. So yeah.
All right, thank you, Bethany.
The old turn it on.
If that's ever happened to somebody, then that is amazing.
Oh, it happens.
Oh, it's my turn. Hey, everyone. So yeah, I think by far my favorite feature this year has been the formal API docs that we released not too long ago. Of course, with better API documentation, we can really streamline our automation processes, and that depends on wherever you want to use it. So to show a few examples, get screen going. Yep. And there's the URL there. I think we can probably provide that for you as well. But here's the page. So really nice. I think we're really proud of what we have here. And this is just kind of gives you some basic examples of how to use the Tikit API. Previously, if you're trying to get some examples or uses or just kind of see what the endpoints were, you're probably used to seeing maybe our list of API endpoints there, or dig into the metadata to kind of give you an idea of what to expect with the API, or maybe even resorted to like spying the dev tools in the portal to kind of see what it was doing and mimicking that way. Yeah, we've all done that. And, it was great. You learn a lot doing it that way as well. But we obviously took it a step further, and now we have a nice interactive API documentation page. So this allows you to not only read about what the endpoint does and kind of interact with it a little bit, but you can actually do this in real time. It can be live if you want it to. We have some examples of what to expect. So maybe you're not playing around in your live system, but you can set an authentication token for your environment, and then actually get data back in real time or submit data against your ticket instance in real time. So if we just check out, I like to say, these are broken down into the kind of the main areas where you might want to focus, whatever your objective is. Tickets being a very common one. We have quite a few nice examples here. You might just want to do a get method against the API to get a ticket via the ID. That's here. And we'll tell you a little bit about that. We'll give you the response schema, what to expect back, some code examples, curl, JavaScript, and PowerShell. If you're doing this on your own, if you're coding a solution, then you can get some help with the code there. And we can give you that response example, so you don't have to actually execute this if you don't want. But obviously, this is not your data. If you wanted to do that, you could, in this case, for the ticket ID parameter, you could stick in the ticket ID, execute, and get live data right there against your environment. So very handy, a great resource for developing API automations. Of course, we give some other examples with expand and no data filters. You can kind of explore that. And then you can post a ticket, create a ticket here, and give you JSON request body example. That can help you get started. This is a very basic example, but you could expand on that to create your own tickets. And if I haven't gone over yet, maybe I'll show you one other thing. If you're like me, you probably like to kind of consolidate all of your automations in one spot, Power Automate being a good place to do that, especially when you're leveraging the provided ticket connectors. But you'll probably come across a situation where maybe they don't do exactly what you need it to do, and you might need to look into using the API. So I'll just do together a quick example. We're using a ticket connector when a lifecycle Power Automate test becomes active, then we could do something via the API. In this case, I chose to use a curveball example. We don't have this specifically in the API docs, but I think you could probably derive how to do a patch method based on what's provided. But that's what we're doing here. We're grabbing a ticket ID from that trigger action in the life cycle. We're just going to update a ticket that already exists. In this case, we're going to force a status that's closed, and that should be status ID 19. We could force a resolution date or just about whatever else we wanted to do. So just a real quick example, you can do, I say lots and lots of things, obviously, with the API, but hopefully that gives you some good ideas. Yeah, that's my pick. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Ben.
Hmm.
All right. Well, we're going to give it to Justin for his favorite feature, which, as you can see, is adaptive card updates. But I just need to tell him something first. Now, Justin actually did a whole session on Ticket Train Tuesday on this feature when it first came out. And in fact, he couldn't even fit it into one session. It ran into a second session. So, Justin, you got 5 minutes. Focus.
Here we go.
Tell everybody about adaptive card updates.
So you can see on the screen, people picker, property mapping, data sources, and variables. Oh my, what does that mean? We have added several new controls to the template experience where you can create a form. It's based on the adaptive card framework. We've augmented the way we interact with that in Tikit. So now we can include a people picker, which can bind to affected user or assigned user or any of those user relationships on a ticket, or it can be used, the people picker can be used to pick a user that's not bound to one of those relationships, but you can use it in subsequent automations or just see who was picked, etc. What does property mapping mean? That means now we expose controls for things like status, category, group, team, priority, all of the values, almost all of the values that can be set in the ticket by an agent can now be set at form submission time via the adaptive card. What does data sources means? That means we can constrain the data that's shown in one of those pickers, category, priority, etc. We can constrain that so it fits a process that we're having the user fill out. For example, maybe you want to expose category, but you don't want to expose all your categories. So again, a data source allows you to constrain what's exposed through that category picker. And variables, what does that mean? That means when you create a field in your form and you have to give it an ID for each input field, you can now expose those in other properties through the ticket, primarily via the request or a comment. So when you can expose that variable of that ID in a request, for example. For example, if you're filling out an onboarding form, you're going to have like first name, last name. You can now expose that right in the request via those variables, and you can get uniformity in your request without having to do subsequent automation. I am going to share my screen and just kind of show those quickly, Jeff, quickly. Not going to take 2 sessions this time.
I don't believe you.
So this is the people picker I was talking about. Again, you can just pick a person that's not bound to a relationship. This is going to expose all the people in your 365 tenant. You can have single or multiple selection. Category, this is one of those pickers that I mentioned where we can now expose ticket properties on the form submission. And then with data sources, again, you can constrain that. If we look at my category data source, we can see that it's constrained to just 3 of my 6 options. I'm going to submit this form here in just a minute. Another cool thing that we can do is we can expose priority. For example, we can expose any of these ticket properties via the form, but we can also change the name. So I called it level here, just in case you want to give it a different name that the user is more comfortable with rather than priority. Because if you tell them to pick a priority, clearly they're going to pick high. So maybe we call it level, and that helps direct their behavior a bit more. We have the ability to add a comment at form submission time, which is new in this adaptive card update. Very cool stuff. And again, you can relabel that so it's not just comment. You can ask them to tell you more or additional info or whatever you want them to fill out there. And that can also be private, so they're not able to see it after the submission, but it doesn't have to be. And then again, just renaming a property like due date, when is this required? You can expose the due date property to the person submitting the form. And then finally, request. This is some of that variable stuff I was talking about. I'm just outputting who is selected via the people picker so that it comes through when the request is submitted. And also you see that initially visible is not checked, and therefore they won't see this. They're only going to get the output of, you will see the output of people picker and the message that they used to get this template back. Quickly going to show that. I have this wired up in not a channel. I have this wired up with a template called People Picker. And this should be the same form that we were just looking at in templates. And there it is. So I'm going to pick bin. I'm going to pick, you can see I've got my categories constrained. I know I have 6 categories, but I only have 3 showing. That's the data sources. Level is, again, for priority. This is that comment. And then due date as labeled, when is this required, submit that. And like I said, the request picker is not showed, or the request field is not showed. But when we go look at this ticket 2701, we're going to see who was picked and the message that the user requested through the Ticket Virtual Agent. There's actually some more in there. File attachment was added, the ability to redesign the generic card when there's a response that doesn't align with an existing template, all of that. There was a ton in the adaptive card updates, but that was my quickest example I could give. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Thanks, Justin. That was excellent. You're spot on timing.
Nice.
I said it already. I'll probably say it again before we finish here. But with all these pieces, but particularly that one, there's a load more information out there. If you need help finding it, then please get in touch. Who is last but not least?
Me. I hit present.
Service catalog. That's your favorite feature, James?
It is. So we've seen that people, they love the bots. They love chatting with the bots, but they also love buttons as well. So now you have your own one-stop shop to just see a whole catalog, a whole menu of what you need. And for me, I think it's very easy on the eye. And also in my lab, I've been playing around with it. And I think it's easy to modify as well. I was going to put easier to modify, but I really like how it looks. So yeah, I just called it equal there. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean. Let me show this page. Okay. All right, so here we have the catalog. One moment. So here we've got all these, I've got 3 service offerings in my lab. So you can think of them as containers. And there's been a little bit of confusion about what an offering is and what the catalog item is. So you can think of these offerings as containers, and everything within it, your templates, such as my equipment list one here, my knowledge base items, all the configuration items, catalog items rather, within it. They are the catalog items. So that's the separation between the two. So yeah, it's all very, very neat. You can use your images, update the icons, update everything within them as well. And just some little tips for you. You might be wondering and thinking, well, my request page doesn't look like yours. Yours might look like this, and with your tickets and approvers on there. But again, people do love for things to be linear. So feel free to advise those in your companies to check out this column configuration button, where they can get rid of what they don't want to see each time and just zone in on what they want if they just want to see the catalog. And just another tip on that, especially when you're modifying them as an admin, this refresh button in Tikit is huge, rather than using the one in the browser. And because it allows you to keep your column configuration set as it is. If I just hit refresh in my browser, it's going to revert back to what it was. So I'll get rid of these. But when I refresh, let's say I make a change here. Let's say I move this to draft. I make a change and I just hit refresh here, then I can see it's updated and I've been able to keep my column configuration set up as it is as well. And just the last key thing that I like, here I've got an agents only tab, which has knowledge base items and templates that are just for agents. So you might be thinking, oh, well, I don't want that to clutter up things for my end users. Well, here you can see the end user experience. They don't see it at all. So that's huge. Just to make sure that you know what I'm referring to, when you go to see this one here, we've got the agent only enabled. So that's how you differentiate between the two. So yeah, lots of cool stuff there, and that's why it's my favorite.
Thanks, James. Very cool. Well, I think, yeah, I want to thank the team, not just for today, but for the whole series of Ticket Train Tuesdays, for all your efforts, obviously, throughout the year. We will be back. We'll be back next year. There's going to be information, obviously, how to get involved again for next year. For Ticket Train Tuesdays 2026. So we'll be back. We do this because we genuinely enjoy helping customers, explaining things. We learn a lot through preparing for these sessions by having to kind of figure things out for ourselves. And that means that when you come to us with questions, we're better equipped to answer it. So doing this is very important for us. And we really want to thank, again, all our customers for participation, for engagement, for keeping us on our toes. So yeah, we're off the air until 2026, but we're not gone. You can get in touch with us in all the usual ways. help@sargent.com is the easiest way to remember. Email us and we can help you out. And that might mean a little private session, Ticket Train Tuesdays. That is available to you. Just let us know what help you need. And it could even be on a different day if that suits you better. We are that flexible to our customers. I said we would end on a cliffhanger, so I will share with you the roadmap for the rest of 2025. And as you can see, thanks to James's little demonstration there, we are already into this because we're already into the second half of 2025, of course. These aren't necessarily going to be in this order, by the way. It depends on kind of what gets built out fastest and quickest and what's easiest to build when we come to it. So there's not necessarily the order you're going to get these in, but this is what you can expect to get before the end of the year. And these will no doubt make out some of the sessions for next year's Ticket Train Tuesday. We'll do a here's everything you missed and catch up to make sure that you're up to speed on all of these features in next season's Ticket Train Tuesday, along with all the stuff that's going to come out with releases in terms of webinars and technically speaking and articles and announcements and community posts and all of that stuff. So watch this space. I've really enjoyed this. I really hope you have too. And I want to again thank the whole team and see you all soon. Bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye.